it's like they'll push greener editors further, right? And sometimes like the more seasoned unscripted editors, like you'll go in, you'll build something and then you're done. And then they keep like the greener ones to just keep combing through notes and stuff for like a really long stretch of time. So it is kind of like what you're saying. It is like assembly line E and like people are replaceable sort of situation and mentality. I think it has to do with like budgets, honestly. I think it's like a reality show will sell a show for X amount of money. There's usually just like a really small amount for, say, post. So it's like they can't go over this amount or they don't hit whatever quota needs to be hit. And that's not to say that doesn't happen in scripted as well, but I think for whatever reason in reality, like the deadlines are just tighter. It's almost like well, depending on the show, it's kind of like a conveyor belt editing in a way where it's like you cut something, then you pass it to somebody else, then you cut something and pass it. So I think it's like maybe less respect sometimes for you as a creative, artistic person and more just like well, why wouldn't they be able to finish that? We have to meet this quota, you know?
Yeah, my hypothesis, again, not having the level of experience that you do, but my hypothesis goes along with something that you said, which is that, well, in Unscripted, it's a little bit more like an assembly line where there's a multitude of editors. I know one of the main reasons that unscripted editors are so desperate to work on scripted just comes down to autonomy. I just want to be able to say this is my episode, not me and 12 other people. That's a very, very common conversation that I've had. And I think because of that, the people that are producing and budgeting, because it's more conveyor belt assembly line format, and because there are a lot more of them just by numbers, because there are a lot more unscripted shows than scripted, I think unscripted editors are very much seen as easily replaceable. And I think when you get to a certain level in scripted, everybody, first of all, is replaceable. But I think it's harder to replace people, which is why they just want to kind of keep pushing you, knowing that like, we have to push them and find their breaking point because that's easier than replacing them. Where in unscripted, you're like, yeah, we've got 10 other people that could do this job tomorrow. So I don't know if that's anything that you've ever seen or experienced or if I'm totally out of bounds, but that's kind of sort of my hypothesis for one of those differences.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I mean, it depends. It always depends kind of on the company or whatever the production is. But I think a lot of times also like unscripted editors won't get paid that much, especially if it's like a newer unscripted editor, right? So it's kind of like they have no choice because it's like they're not getting paid enough to like really, survive if they were to lose the job. So it's like they kind of they'll push greener editors further, right? And sometimes like the more seasoned unscripted editors, like you'll go in, you'll build something and then you're done. And then they keep like the greener ones to just keep combing through notes and stuff. For like a really long stretch of time. So it is kind of like what you're saying. It is like assembly line E and like people are replaceable sort of situation and mentality. Also, there's a lot of like, we gave you the shot to edit on this, so you have to like do this. And I think that happens in scripted too, but I've seen that a lot in unscripted where it's like, yeah, how could you not do this? Like we gave you this opportunity.
Yeah. And that's just all manipulation. That's how manipulative people work. I've been in that position more times than I can count, even in scripted, where I was the young, hot, new, shiny object that was brought into the office because I had a whole slew of different tool sets and skills. So of course, I was there to prove myself, but it was just, this thing that's impossible, we need you to do it by tomorrow. But this is your chance to prove yourself, so we're doing you a favor. And I was too young to understand that. And looking back in hindsight, I really wish I had a podcast interview like this to listen to and be like, oh, I didn't realize that was a red flag. I really thought that's because they were looking out for me and they really genuinely wanted me to shine. They were just kind of taking advantage of my expertise. And I wish I had been able to see that more. And I certainly and obviously see it now.
And it's so normalized in this business too. It's like, oh, of course they would like push that editor too far, or of course they would expect this person to do this, this, and this when like they really shouldn't have to do all this stuff. It's just like sadly something that's like very regular in this industry. So it's good to push back as much as we can.